Is it clear?
There, so, and let's go live here. Yeah. So, hi and welcome to Heart and Magnificent Times. And we are gathered here once again, and we are going to start to talk about things that are a current topic these days, like Earthling starseed, hybrids, galactic communicators. And we have a beautiful panel of beautiful souls here today. So I really do want them to introduce themselves. So you obviously know me, I hope, by now. Eva, hosting this, and welcome everyone. Please introduce yourself. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Maureen Moore, and I'm with Light Language Life and energetic, intuitive, and light language speaker. Assist with healing, and just happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Austa? Austa Ra?
Hi, I'm Ostara Melchizedek and I live in Ireland. I am a starseed. I'm working with the elemental frequencies and I also carry the LMM. So I work from the heart, anchoring angelic frequencies onto the earth, working in grids with the dragon riders, involved in healing and doing all sorts.
Wow.
Lovely. Yeah.
Interesting and exciting. Yeah. So, Cody?
Hi, I'm Cody Bryce, and I'm a human.
Yeah. Reshma?
Hello, I am Reshma Eugene. I am actually Pleiadian mother. I am a healer. I work with like every element, and I am here to just share and learn from everyone else. And I'm happy to be here. And I'm in the United States, South Carolina.
Yeah, so we are gathering all over the world.
Mhm.
Australia and me are located in Europe, and the rest of you are across the sea in the States.
Northwest Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And I also see that I have these strange colors, like the resurrection flame, orange.
Oh,
Well, I haven't been
yeah.
in the sun, so this is not my usual color in, but yeah, I will go with that. I can't change that. So, but
Yeah, it's like a golden warm ray.
yeah. So let's start. Mehernaz will probably join us in a bit here. I'm so curious about you. Do you pronounce your name altogether, Austara, or do you make a short?
I say it together. It's actually my soul name. So it's Ostara.
Austara.
Stara. I
Yeah,
was wondering.
yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. And you're Elohim. I love Elohim. Just the name Elohim brings such a good vibes. It's um it's something that goes straight to the heart. So did you always know that you come from the Elohim?
No, I've always been heart-based, and always been, even as a child, I was always the one that was holding space, just sending out love frequency to everybody, like most of us light workers, healers, whatever you want to call us, star seeds. We've had interesting surroundings with lots of growth. And yeah, and it's just so I've been on a kind of a healing journey on myself for like probably the last 20 or so years. And I actually am South African born. Um, and I came across to Ireland in about 2000, July 2000. And I do have Irish roots though. And I just fell in love with the land. I can't explain it. I just knew I had to be here. You know, it just really spoke to my soul on such a level I can't even begin to explain. And it took me another 7 years to convince the hubby to get across. And we came across in 2007. So I've been back in Ireland now for 15 years, you know. I know that I've been here previously, but in this physicality, I've been here for about 15 years now. And yeah, just, you know, have a deep, deep love of the land. It's very sacred. It's got a lot of heart energy, and there's a lot of kind of mystery, you know, because it's got a big link to Avalon for me anyway. Scotland, England, Ireland have got, you know, a little bit of a triangle with the Avalon energies. So yeah, that's basically me.
Sounds
That's
beautiful.
basically that is a lot.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. So when you were talking, something come to my mind. There has been a lot of talk all over the Facebook lately or social medias, and a lot of posts about timelines shift, and dragons. And that popped in, and I realized that Austria was talking about dragons for a couple of days ago. I think you posted something about dragons there, and Reshma, you did also a meditation and a channeling once for me, and I know that you brought up the dragons too. So
Yeah.
what is it now, or why haven't they been present earlier? Obviously, it's time for them to enter right now, but how should you describe dragons? Because I can find it hard, because if I say dragons and when I'm talking to people, they almost see like these toys, and they are, for me, very esoteric beings and energy. So how should we talk about dragons? What purpose does they bring for us here right now? Do you have any thoughts?
Well, I know that they're fourth dimensional beings that were here before, you know, they were living with people, you know, everyone had access to them and knew them. And as, you know, things changed, they were, you know, separated, they went different parts, you know, in the land or above. And what I can say about dragons is that the reason why everyone's talking about them now is because of the veils that were, you know, being lifted, and people awakening and reconnecting with that energy, because the dragons are really here to help the human, help Earth, and every aspect, you know, of healing and things like that. So they're really wonderful, wonderful beings. And if you were young and you were like into dragons, that means that you were really, you know, in that realm with the dragons. The dragons were working with you, and you were working with the dragons. And as people get older, and, you know, in the old Earth, you know, you forget, you're crazy for still liking toys because of other people, you know, because usually you have toy dragons with you if you like dragons, right? If you've been communicating with the dragons in some way, you know, in the astral, right? So that's my take on it. So it's new to people who really, and I mean, they think the toys, or in the movies too, the movies really dislike them. The people were killing dragons, right? In all the movies we watched up. So we it kind of like made you feel like dragons were bad. You know, there was so much things happening. Energy. So I think it's wonderful. I think it's awesome. I love dragons. I love working with them. And I love helping people reconnect with their dragon. So, yeah.
So, I feel like they're assisting us to also anchor in is it Lyco energy to the grid work of Gaia? Like they're assisting us for clearing and balancing. That's how I've worked with them a lot of times when I went profound, space clearing, but also just they send such a great vibration of love as well. And then I don't know, that's just my intuition. I wanted to share that back a couple years ago, I did an intuitive drawing. One of the first ones I did ended up being my dragon. And I wasn't really, didn't have dragons on my radar at all or anything. And this is, I drew that, especially at that time when I was channeling, they're very abstract, but I did this when I was on a vacation trip, and it's like a Lemurian dragon. I don't know if you can see how there's an eye, and this is like the mouth and the body, but I showed a drawing last time, and this and I was hearing the name Frederick at the time, but I just felt really assisted when I tuned into this, and the colors of like the Lemurian colors. So I just wanted to share that. It's very different concept of a dragon, but that's what it was. So
I think that's beautiful. Yeah. I'm sure his name is Frederick. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that a dragon's name? Oh, okay. Yeah. I like Frederick. He's been around with me for a long time.
Yeah. I wanted to add,
Frederick.
They do clear the ley lines of the earth. So yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm picking up on. Okay.
Frederick feels like a water dragon just with his energy.
Yeah?
And
Nice,
I just wanted to say, like, dragons are the one about the same time you did the drawing. I got this intuition. I woke up with this when I was told to say the dragons, to send the dragons to their stations. It was very interesting, like send all the dragons to their stations because they are shielding. So when we have a personal dragon, I remember I had a personal dragon and I had to send him. I'm like, go ahead and go to your station for the shielding. And when we put dragons at different grid points, especially where the crystalline grid vortexes are that hold those spaces, then they're very good with the shielding of those spaces facing outward. And that happened around the same time you did the painting, so I thought I'd just.
Oh, I'm glad you told me about that. Yeah, that resonates. Thank you. Yeah.
Just as you were saying this go to station, I was just going to ask you if that was the earth grids and the earth chakras you were talking about, and I guess that is what you meant.
Yes, that's how I saw it. Like when we said that, okay, dragons go to stations, I saw my dragon go, he picked a point and then I saw all of the others on those grid points. So shielding the energies that are being sent, they almost kind of are like gatekeepers, screening the energies that were being sent from other realms to be able to.
And I like to tune into them, the Dragon Collective, before I go to sleep as well, just to assist with creating a peaceful space, basically. Yeah, and assisting me in dream time. Yeah.
So Kuan Yin, it's very interesting. Kuan Yin works a lot with me, and she has her dragons. So it's what I found very interesting when I first saw or felt the dragons of Kuan Yin was that, oh, even the most softest of deities had their her, in like Mother Durga has her tiger, it's like they all have their the workers, so to say. They're the elementals, right? And they're the workers for the deities so they would take the instructions. So like we can give our dragon an instruction and it almost feels like a pet, but in a very glorified way. It's a very gorgeous, intelligent, not a pet, but a being who works in synchronicity with you. And if you train them or ask them for certain things and ask them to stay with you, sometimes certain ancestral collectives also come through as dragons. Because it's earth energy, right? We're talking about the earth star chakra, and we're talking about that earth energy. So it's like the pool of ancestors can appear as a dragon if they're giving a certain instruction or something like that. I've seen that once as well. So
You're reminding me that it was just a meditation, not a hypnosis session, but I had this great vision of meeting my dragon in a cave, and they presented me with a golden egg and then took me on this most wonderful, got on the back, and I can't remember if I saw if it was Frederick, but it was a huge long-necked blue dragon, and we flew over and down through the mountains like you see in the movies, like over the lakes and through every aspect of Earth. And it was just so beautiful, and it returned then back to the cave, and I just never forgot that imagery. So that was beautiful.
Especially for me, I think. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Maureen. You go back. Well, at the end of the day, I think for dragons are like most things. There are so many multiple realms, and in every realm they've got a different function. So, like, there's an earth dragon, and there's a fire dragon, and there's like lower dragons that are working on the actual earth plane. For me, I'll give you an example. The red fire dragons are brilliant for clearing lower based energy that, like, okay, whoever you're working with can't reach. They're very, very powerful, and they clear anything. I mean, they talk about the sacred breath of the dragons, which can be used to clear any kind of lower vibrations and everything, and there's volcanic dragons, and there's cosmic dragons, and like a bit like crystals for me. There's different rays of dragons, and they have specific galactic functions. So, like, you get a gold ray dragon, and for me that would be in alignment with the Christ consciousness, and Mehernaz, sorry, don't know how to pronounce your name properly, was talking about Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin for me has got really like beautiful pink dragons, and that's how I see. Yeah, and that's how I see them. And they like kind of like cherry blossoms, they've got that really soft, gentle energy, but at the same time, every dragon is so mighty, and I believe that they actually, when we fell, like they were in Atlantis, they were in Lemuria, they've worked out besides humans for so long, but when we had the big fall, a lot of them went to sleep because the energy had become so low that they weren't actually able, they are such a high frequency that we needed the earth to come to a certain frequency before they could actually wake up again, and we had to call them back in again. So there's a whole dragon collective of grid workers. There's like nearly 2,000 people, all of whom have got a dragon, and every dragon is different. And when they go into, there's also dragon ley lines across the earth. And like somebody was saying earlier on with the stations, there's specific dragons that are working on specific areas, like Giza for argument's sake, and that. And they come through, a lot of people work through Merlin, and Merlin is kind of like the dragon, like a big dragon guide. And they go like, so they stationed across the earth. There's also, we get water dragons, we get sky dragons, we get all sorts of different dragons, all with different functions. And they're very hard-based, very pure, very wise, and very powerful. And a lot of them, it's just calling them in. We have to invite them in. I think all of us can journey and actually meet our dragon. And when you do, just trust what comes through, even if the name sounds strange, it's what it is. Don't interfere, just let your first instinct come in and meet with them. And obviously, the more you interact with them, it's a team, they're just so beautiful to work with. And it's really worth exploring, invite them in, don't be shy.
Yeah, beautiful. I think someone recently told me or mentioned in a group that that the dragons present with a like a familiar name that we would understand, but that they have like tend to have like yourself a 3-part name as their true name, and we'll share it with you when you have a more of a relationship. Now, I don't know if that was a statement based on hierarchy as I'm speaking it, but I was just curious if you had heard that or not. But
I think at the end of the day, you know, that like they've got their own language, and a lot of
Mhm.
people are communicating in the kind of dragon language, you know, and it's kind of funny when you hear some people channeling light language. You
yeah, I
can
do
literally,
dragon light language. Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
think,
when it's actually comical to listen to them, because when they a
Mhm.
lot of the time when they start speaking, they just go really deep, and it just
That's what I do too as well. I'm
and
very
it sounds
raspy.
so, you know, like formidable and commanding, and you just like, oh, you know, it could be like this tiny petite person, and she comes out with a really strong voice, and you're like, whoa, I'm listening.
That's what happens
I'm
that's what happens with me. Yeah, exactly. I'm very breathy and you know, it just explodes.
yeah,
So.
yeah. Yeah.
Kind of wanted to add something real quick, but with like the personal dragon or the dragon that you meet, I noticed that basically every single one of them matches your soul. Basically, like the way they present or the ones that they are, it like matches your personality, your being. You know, I would see mine, and mine's a bit more scaly, very big, you know, that type of thing. And I look at my mom's, and it's just silky smooth and just like elegant, you know. And so I can see the different, you know, ways that they present and connect with the human in that way. But I also kind of wanted to bring a little bit of like a not humanism, but this is all like esoteric and like very big and stuff, but this stuff kind of trickles down into the mainstream, if you will, even if they don't know that it's actually trickling down. Like anime, I watch a lot of anime, and a lot of them have like stuff that you guys are talking about in the anime connected with the dragons, and like most animes call dragons the sleeping gods. And so when you said that they were sleeping for a while, it was like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. They're the sleeping gods.
Oh,
You know?
interesting. Yeah.
So they like kind of a soul aspect. You could call it like your higher self, a part of your higher self. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
often I don't have that daily connection with a dragon, absolutely not. But sometimes when I meditate, I see this huge face coming in, you know, sliding up in front of me or at the side of my own face, and I see this beautiful eye observing, checking me out, and so I never seen them as toys or anything playful in that. I have it feels like they have so much all-seeing power, energy. I somewhere is so profound. And the most interesting, I just have to say this, I opened up a post that popped up in my comment fields, and that was from Eilert Segov, you know, Tellus Lemuria, and she was talking about the earth grids and the chakra points, and you were bringing up dragons and Lemuria. So once again, I think this is a topic that is absolutely divinely guided to be talking about today. I love these confirmations, but yeah. So these dragons, are they here right now because we are actually shifting timelines? Is it ourselves that are transforming with the timelines of the earth, or because the chakras and the posts, the grid posts, how do you say? The earth chakras, and then you have the star portals or gates. Some more are opening, obviously, because not everyone is open on earth yet, as I see it. But are they here right now as we are evolving? As you said, there were 2,000 people working with dragons around this time right now. So I guess that more people will step into this work as they grow in their own ascension or awakening process. Is that correct, or how do you see it? A lot of questions.
I would say that
Yeah.
they're always there, always helping. It's just now we're more aware that they're there and helping. It's, yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
I feel like
Oh, sorry. Go, Reshma, it's fine.
well, I was just
Mm.
I think it's happening because we are ascending and awakening and going into new earth where we're reestablishing the way things used to be and we really the dragons have the ability to work with us again, and they have the ability to connect with us again and reconnect. And I think it's just what has to happen, like it's part of the process. And I wanted to say quickly with Cody, which is really interesting. Cody, I love anime too. I love like a lot of Asian, Japanese, or any other Asian shows because they keep the spirituality in their shows and movies and stuff. They talk about spirit and things like that. And America and other countries, they don't really keep it there. They just take so I love all.
Yeah, the only American like show, or not show, but the movie Aragon and the books and all that type of stuff, Aragon, they
Oh, I
didn't
like that.
quite get it, but there was a scene in there that hit me really hard. And you're talking about the healing breath of the dragon before. And there's a scene where, the master dude or whatever, one of the dragon riders dies and they like cover him with all these rocks and the dragon breathes onto the rocks and it turns into crystal. And so, yeah, this like brilliant crystal that is encasing this person that is, dead. But it was just a beautiful scene that you could see the transformation of just the breath that it transformed the rocks into this beautiful crystal thing. And it was very touching and kind of beautiful.
Beautiful.
You were
I
going
wanted-
to say something, Astora?
Yeah, I thought.
I was just going to say, for me, it's like we are multidimensional beings and our highest self has got different levels. So as we go up, there's different aspects we work with: angelic self, dragon self, Pegasian self, whatever. But like most of the higher frequencies, there is the rule of free will. And people need to remember that they're always around us, but at the same time, we have to invite them in because they're observing. They're always with us observing, but we need to actually reach out and bring them in and have that communication and have that connection. And the more we communicate with each other, the more we go together, because I do see it as an aspect of ourselves,
Yeah.
Yeah, like that just made sense. I don't really work a lot with dragons. For me, they just kind of sit with me and I just like them sitting with me type of thing. I don't really do a whole bunch of active stuff, if you will. But when you said that, I was like, maybe I should, ask them to help with my stomach thing right now because, super nauseous and all that stuff. And so I had this like full on like breath of fire, dragon right in front of me, fire coming out, and it just like blew all that like lower energy, if you will, like away. And it just happened right when you were talking about the breath of fire. I was like, oh, maybe I should do that. And it happens, and now my stomach is a little bit better. And so I'm like, huh, it works.
Wow.
That reminds me.
Yeah.
I wanted before we moved on from our dragon topic, it's just like I remembered that deck that I love so much, the Lemurian Starchild deck had so many beautiful dragon cards in it, and there was a picture. Well, first like Restore was right on top, and then Cody's speaking of that, working with them to help restore our bodies, and then don't they just the energy too is like they want to bring magic to our lives. I feel like to remind me that there is magic in our each day if we look for it. And I feel like I get that message from my dragon too. But the other ones were, now this is pretty pale, but she's got this is Kuan Yin, and she's got a pink dragon on the lower corner there.
Yeah.
And only show one or two more because, well, then the golden one was the golden dragon of sovereignty. And then I thought the very first one actually that I pulled up when I started to look at the deck was Beyond Cycles. And I feel like that's what we're going through with our transition right now is we're no longer in those cycles as humanity, or as we ascend, that's the case as we get out of those particular cycles and are experiencing differently. And I'm wondering about your thoughts on that. But then this says Beyond Cycles in the dragon. So that's all.
There's like the big cycles that we're getting beyond, but I connected with that as in my personal like routine cycles. Like my daily routine has been completely obliterated to where I don't have a routine anymore. It's go with the flow of whatever happens. And so it's a completely shift where I'm like an anxiety, like my mind needs routines to make it feel like okay. But then this shift, takes out the routines. And so I'm having to be okay with not having a routine and going beyond those cycles.
I have to completely agree with that, Cody, because I'm the same way because of the way my mind is. I like the routine. And a lot of us on this call, Taurians, we like our routines, but it's almost like we have to surrender to the flow and, know that we will be taken care of. And what's interesting is so I really wanted to acknowledge that, Cody, because it's like, we agree, like a lot of us use the routine to bring our lives in order when we're, really, you're in surrender for spirit's work, and we always talk about surrender, but it's a process to actually work on it. And the interesting thing is that we have the partial solar eclipse in Taurus tomorrow. So a lot of us with those Taurian sun would be feeling, I know Maureen, Reshma, me, all of us.
So must be, oh wow,
yeah, and are feeling it. But even otherwise, like that's about the fixed, our fixed earth, right? So basically the eclipse is in Gaia sign, and as Gaia is shifting, we're shifting, and then there is all this energy of Venus and Jupiter are conjunct in Pisces. So there's still that water. So the water dragon, of course, came up. But basically what it's trying to tell us is that within your fixed structures that you have created, we're bringing in the flow, and the way the flow will expand, the way the flow of that water or energy or emotion will expand is through love, because that's Venus conjunct Jupiter in Pisces. So it is that's just the message I get, and so us and Gaia are going through this shift where we're being taken by this flow, and the flow is guided by that love, that unconditional love that we all always talk about, and now we have to put in practice.
Exactly.
The flow we always talk about, and now we have to put in practice. And the trust, I think when I say love, I also mean trust, it's because that's where trust comes from, when we love our guides unconditionally and trust them unconditionally that they have our best at heart, and where we're going, because we're going into this unknown earth that we've been preparing for so long, and now that we're here, and it's shifting, we cannot resist that shift, right? We do that through trust. So that's
a huge one for me. I've been asking my guides for something for so long, but I never trusted them to actually go through it or just to follow through with it. I've been smoking cannabis for 9 years straight, every day, all day, and it's been lowering my frequency, lowering my energy, and I know that it's just not the best for me. So during this complete shift of transformation and routine breaking down, it literally says that I could not have cannabis anymore, because anytime that I tried to take cannabis, my mind would feel trapped and I wouldn't be able to get out of it. And so I had literally had to stop taking cannabis, and yesterday was my first day in 9 years without having any cannabis. And so today I'm still going through like withdrawals and stuff like that. And so I'm still like working with those energies, but that's been a huge shift of me trusting my guides and everything to allow me to get through this whole thing.
Yes.
Definitely.
Congratulations and so
Yeah.
much power to you, Cody, because I know that's never easy, but it's huge. You will get through it. I know and trust me, a lot of us are going through those crazy shifts, and you're not alone. That's all, but you got this.
Yeah. It's fabulous.
Yeah. I also wanted to say to Cody, we are all here for you if you, need any support, any energetic support. It made me feel so emotional hearing that. I just got really emotional when you were talking about that, because I think what it is there's a lot of people experiencing that that need for change of that part of their life, like what they do to have like normalcy. And a lot of people, rely on that for anxiety and stomach and, other pains in their bodies and things like that. And I always struggle with dealing with like friends and clients that have that product in their life, and I can't tell them to stop. You know what I mean? Like, I know I can't tell them to stop. Like, I can't tell them, because it's like they have it for like a medicinal purpose. So like,
Yes.
it's always like this weird, like, what do we do? Do we say yes or say no? Like, you can't. And then it's like this whole thing. I don't know if anyone's been following me or anything like that, but I had like this major talk about the sacral chakra and womb issues, and it came down to the nitty-gritty of control. So it's this control shadow that all of us are like releasing during this time. The anxiety, the anger, stemming from not having control over other people's words and actions or situations, or like in our lives that we can't control. Like, we're learning to really control ourselves and our actions and our thoughts, and letting go of that conditioning of have to have control and have to have like order, like how you were talking about, you have to have like this routine, and literally like everyone is just letting go of that, like learning to be in the flow. And it's just each new push of energy onto the planet is like another layer after another layer, another layer after another layer, like being removed. And you have to look at it like, what's going on with me? Oh, it's this, it's that. Like, it has so much to do with our conditioning from the old world of order and control.
Exactly. I find, I just speaking for myself, is that I recently did start like going to the gym a little bit, to have a place to exercise more as well as walk. But my day, every day, I used to think I had to do everything so consistently, and I've never been one really for a lot of strict commitments during the day. But now it's just like one next day, tomorrow, like I might go in the morning. Everything just evolves around how something comes up, just like she said, in the flow. And I know it's like sometimes I'm not going till 9 o'clock at night, or I just if like I get invited to groups just spontaneously, then I'll just, if I'm able to, I'll pop on. And it's like I used to get anxious or feel like I have to plan for everything, and now it's like I'm not even trying to not think about that, or I just kind of, something definitely shifted within my being on how I show up, I guess, like you were saying. It's like now I can just show up mostly. I have a little challenge, and then I do a public speaking event May 20th that something I've never done, and it's not for very long, and it's more in this publishing business that I'm in. But that I guess I get in my head a little bit about still. But in general, the more things that are even not quite normal for me, I can be able to do what Meher was saying, was just kind of go with the flow. And it's like, wow, where did that whole part of me that used to overthink everything, it just kind of went away, so different. Yeah.
And I used to have panic attacks if I had like 15 minutes off of my thing. If I was just a little bit late, I would go straight into panic attack. And so I had to have some serious, strict, things. And so that it's a complete 180 for me,
Yeah, that is.
I think that what we are talking about here is something that everybody is going through right now, and they are aware that something is actually happening to them, and they see that the logical stuff that they have had in their lives are not making any logical sense anymore, and everybody feels like something is changing within themselves, within the physical bodies, and some have difficulties to understand what it is or how to respond to this, because we all have structures of how we have been living our lives. And I do like to compare what's going on the other side with what's happening in the physical life, and to see how we are moving forward from within and into other realms, because there's as above so below, and you can feel it so much in your body. And I'm also aware that something is happening and shifting within myself, within my own energetic fields. And the key thing here, the key point is to actually follow that guidance and actually have the guts to follow that, like you release the smoking and the cannabis. And for me it's maybe something else, but to follow the new impressions that are coming to our lives, and to let go of the old, because the old things are crumbling down and just they're not making any sense anymore. And that is so interesting, because we talk about the womb healing a couple of days ago?
We did.
Yeah.
A lot of us.
And that is also something that we all feel more and more like we need to clear that healing gate, the healing station within our wombs, whether we are man or female. It doesn't matter. We need to go in that energy and cleanse and heal. So interesting.
And my mom didn't even know any of this energy stuff was happening, but she even I'm not sure if she messaged me, but I was talking with her one day and she was like, yeah, my lower womb, my area is really affecting me. I'm having to have a heating pad on it all night and type of stuff. And so even she's going through some major transformations without even knowing that what we're talking about type of thing, It's,
Oh, Cody, this reminds me of when me and when I was talking to my naturopath who works with this, she's like, it's bursting with so many women talking about the issues of the sacrum that in just the last few days, like even she acknowledged that. So it's really, really happening.
And you were also, Astara, talking about the womb healing and the energies, because I think we got in touch with you in our messenger group around that time, and it felt like such a current topic. So shall we go in and explore more about the womb healings?
Yes, we can. I just wanted to say quickly before we go into the womb healing as well, I think it's important to remember that we were so mind-driven before. And a lot of us had really firm structures in that, because that's how we were taught to cope. We went through a schooling system and you were kind of channeled into how to think, how to be. We had belief systems from parents. We had cultural beliefs. We had all of this kind of boxing in, and we were so in our heads, okay? And a really long journey for a lot of people is journeying down from the mind into the heart. And the energy that is coming forward for true unity and for true oneness in consciousness It's all from the heart. It's not thinking and rationalizing. It's feeling and allowing. And that is a big journey in itself, because if we truly want to embody love and be love and speak love and feel love, it has to come out of our hearts, our higher hearts, because what we're going into is completely unknown. And the higher we rise in frequency, it becomes so irrational. I mean, our logical minds only understand 1%, not even 1% of the vastness of the cosmos out there, and so much is coming in that you can't put it into linear words even. If like people ask you to express feelings or emotions or thoughts or something, it's so hard to actually box it into linear words. We have to, a really big part of our journey is moving into heart space and just surrendering and grace, acceptance, allowance, and just trusting, in the process. But at the same time, I think people need to be encouraged to sit with everything, because we're being bombarded almost on a daily basis with plasma energy coming in to adjust our bodies physically. Because in order to rise higher, we actually have to become more crystalline. Our bodies are changing completely. Our diets are changing completely. Our sleeping patterns are changing completely. Everything we knew. And we little creatures of habit like to be in control and do things in a certain way in a certain time and whatever. It's all changing, and it's just becoming like completely fluid and letting everything flow through us and not attaching and not getting distracted. Because another big problem we've had as humans is the desperate amount of distraction, whether it's from the people around us in the office or from our children or from TVs or news or programs or whatever else. It's a lot of people are not comfortable to sit with themselves and just be and just feel. So that's a big process in itself. So it's even if you just do, like Cody, you were saying, yay, it's such a big step. But realistically, there's a process involved. The more we change as well, it's almost like a grief and loss process, in the sense that we have to go through honoring the loss, because you're losing a big aspect of who you were and what you knew. And then there's that whole like anger and frustration and denial and acceptance, and all of those stages that we go through with the physical loss. It's the same as with our energetic changes, And just on that note, I just wanted to share quickly. I did some starting cards before we started, and the first card that came out was a beautiful, I don't know if you can see, just jump in, the Andromedan energies of like diving into a pool, okay? And just that being open to change, being open to adventure, and just, saying, yes, change is okay. Because you're also moving from fear into love. And love is trust, fear is resistance. So it's a lot of stuff going on for everybody. And so important to just honor every process. Because most people think, yay, I've ascended. That's not how it happens. There's a work in progress. It's a constant change.
Incorporate
keep adapting,
it, integrate it,
and change it and everything else. And then just in terms of the womb healing, everything happens in the higher realms first. So there'll be like something, the alignments in the cosmos will happen. Then there'll be grid working that happens in certain areas. And then it comes into the physicality. So in terms of womb healing, I can say that a few months ago, there was a lot of work done around the Giza pyramids and the rise of the divine feminine, and restoring grid templates and anchoring those frequencies. And we're moving from that predominantly patriarchal society, where that is falling away, breaking away, and whatever else, and the divine feminine is rising to her rightful place. So what's happening then is that you can see all over Facebook, there's been a lot of divine feminine kind of sacred circles coming together, where people are actually looking at taking collective divine feminine codings and corrections and embodying them physically. But, there is, for so long, we were actually lopsided. We were walking with one parent, but all of us come from two parents. There's a father arc and there's a mother arc, and we are the divine child. And in order for us to be whole and balanced again, there's an enormous amount of healing around the womb, around the sacral, because that is our connection. That's like the seat of creation, it's where we all come from, out of the womb. And because we've had this distortion at a collective earth level, it's actually affected us as human beings, because we've never been fully complete. And the work lies in the moment in honoring both aspects. And it's not one above the other or one behind the other. It's side by side, meeting in the heart, in love, and unity, and peace, and everything else to make it harmonious and balanced, And I think that's the kind of work that's going on at the moment on an individual level, as people are starting to heal relationships with their mothers, and their own physical mothers maybe, and the healing obviously on a collective level, because we got disconnected, and we're now bringing all of that back together again.
Yeah,
So interesting.
that's ongoing work with connecting to the feminine aspect, or the mother energy, has been for me a process for a couple of years now. The urge to just get reconnected to earth, to the mother energy, to the elementals, and just be in that energy and bring it into myself. And that is a quite long process actually that has been taking place. And it brings so much clarity into what's happening, if I'm looking back, to see how everything is working out and moving forward. I'm just expressing my thoughts there. I just need to say, before, I also drew a card before we started, and it's a card that says rest, and it just says the same as everybody here. Just take a break from everything, sit down, let things integrate with you. And as you say, everything is happening above, and it has to calm down. And if we are constantly moving forward in our thoughts or lives, we will never integrate it. So we need to take that time and space to just, relax and integrate it. So that's so amazing. Yeah. So yeah.
Sorry. But the last couple weeks, I've been called to Mother Nature as well. Like, I basically isolate myself in my room and I don't really go anywhere. I'm a hermit, if you will. And so it's kind of weird that Mother Nature was literally calling me out to her, like, you need to touch the ground, man, And so yeah, I went out, and like almost every day I've been walking around the parks and around the trees and all that type of stuff. And you can just feel it. And with my stomach being all iffy and just energy being iffy, it was so nice to be out in nature that it like calmed me down. But the other thing is that I would randomly get these urges to call my mom. Like, I literally had to go and call her, and we would have like hours of conversation during those days.
Oh, wow.
And so when you're saying like reconnecting with mothers and all that type of stuff, it was so real for me that I had to really connect. But the other aspect with the sacral and the womb for me is I have a major eating disorder, and that deals with the sacral and with control, like you were saying before. It's having control over what you put into your body and what you allow and all that type of stuff. And so having to release that, my diet is completely all over changed. And that was another routine that had to be so perfect. I ate the exact same thing every single day for years. And so to have to change that completely over the last couple of days has been like mind blowing and body blowing and stomach blowing. But so yeah, that's just all things are just so connected right now that we're everything
Really?
is just
You're taking on
synchronistic.
some big shifts, aren't you? Yeah. big
Yeah,
shifts
right.
in your life, for sure.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm sorry, I just have to add, because I know if you guys listen, I was going through my own thing too.
Yes.
And I had to get, some help from the outside. I was reaching out to naturopaths, regular doctors, and other healers, and just getting information. Okay, what is this? What's happening to me? Because for some reason I couldn't figure it out. I was having dreams, but I was like, it was hard for me to connect that the dreams were telling me, okay, this is what you need to do. What I'm going through with my womb is I'm releasing energy from my father experience, my experience with my father. It's being completely like removed from my system. So it's very interesting. A lot of people will be going through like this cleansing of whether it's current lifetime or past life, you know, cleansing like through the womb, you know, like and before I forget, I just think this is so wild and so perfect. So we're getting this awesome like solar eclipse. I don't have chills everywhere. And then in like a couple of weeks in America, I don't know if it's the whole world, but in America we have Mother's Day.
Yes,
Oh,
the 8th.
yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
For this massive, you know, sacral and womb issues for like the planet. You know, I know a lot of people going through this, the collective, to be going through this and being connected to, you know, reconnecting with their mothers and feeling connection to Mother Earth. I mean, what a massive, you know, it just feels so wonderful. Like it's all tied so perfectly. Everyone is just going to be having a wonderful experience with the solar eclipse, and to just bring it all in with Mother's Day. Like you're not just celebrating your physical mother, you're celebrating Mother Earth, you know. And we did have Earth Day, but
Right.
I just feel like this is so wonderful. You know, like we're healing and we're reconnecting with Mother. So it's beautiful.
Oh, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I know we shared a well, I hosted a womb circle when I had did on a channel. It came to me to assist, and Reshma was there, and her and it was a small group, but we, through light language and attunements and just the sharing, it had to do a lot with child loss in that particular group was the theme at whatever level, whether miscarriage or even stillborn or later. And this group was sharing very vulnerably, and it was beautiful. And we had a talk, and then and my guides assist with a lot of clearing and light language. And I've only done it once so far, and we were just discussing how we'd love to have another circle again. And when we come together, and then with men, you know, and I thought, well, as well, men, it doesn't have to just be for females, because men grieve as well during the loss of the children in those situations, of course. And but and I haven't set that up yet, but it's in my focus now again. It's like, I'm like, wait, how did I get, I mean, I know how I got sidetracked, but it was like I was all about womb healing for a month or so, and then I moved on. And then and it comes back a lot too, to trusting that in my own bodies, that trusting my body that can heal through working, that it wants to work with me, and that we can work together. And that's seems like one of my ongoing life lessons. I think I'm shifting out of the womb feeling a little bit, but that theme of trust is coming back in. And that for me, that's where my big one is that of course I'm working within this spiritual community and offering healings, but then it's like to get my own personal health issues resolved, it just seems to take forever. You know, and I'm like, well, what is it? And then is it at the core, is it a trust issue for me? And so that's what I've been processing more. For me, it's more about hormonal imbalance and like stomach stuff as well as Cody, but it's like something there where I was having a hard time trusting that I knew I could do a lot and that I'd be there, but without letting go of the fact that I needed, whether it's someone within my own community health assisting or Western medicine or something, to really believe that it'll happen in the physical. It's like I want to believe it, but then have I been shown it? And I've seen it in small ways. When I think about it, I can see validation, but it's like a programming or mental patterning to dismiss that we have a real deep connection with our bodies. I mean, that's, at least for me, is what I've been kind of trying to overcome in that way. So anyway, I think I sidetracked a little bit, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it
I could
definitely.
sense what my mom was healing when you're talking about miscarriages. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom has had over 14 miscarriages this
Mm.
lifetime. And so her womb is completely destroyed, if you will.
Mm.
And so I can definitely tell. I know she wasn't going to talk about it, but I don't know that she was healing that stuff as well. So
Mhm.
uh,
And it
that
is,
just
at
came up.
least my own experience from me, I've had multiple, and there's, and even that I thought I released or and healed in a lot of areas with that. And then when I went in with the womb healing, I found that I was still carrying quite a bit of an emotion. And then some point attachment, so um there's a lot there, because as a community, we don't really, it's not often discussed, at least in my circles, when women go through this or any experience there. And then we tend, and the average, I won't say the average person, but many people don't understand that energetically they hold on to these experiences within the body, resonate, what is it, retains in some ways. We don't always clear completely. And so I felt a whole opening up in my energetic system when I started to begin working with womb work. So.
I know that Emma Mutale has been working with this womb healing for a very, very long time. She's also located in Africa. A beautiful person with loving energies, but she has been working with this for so long time now. But I feel like everything is speeding up, and this womb healing has been so pushed forward. It's like we have been, pushing it away for so long time, and now it's almost like a critical time, like heal the energies, drawn to that area, both within your physical body, your mind, and earth. Because for me, that's all the connection. We have mentioned it so much, many times before, as above, so below, and everything that's going on within us is a reflection of everything that is going on the outside too. So I just love also the way that we are talking about communities, because even though I can see that we are individuals and on our own path, on our own ascension, we are also working together, we are connecting together. And also what I can see is that we are all getting so with our hearts into the healing process as soon as someone open up. And that made me connect to what you say, Astara, that you have to invite the dragons, when we were talking about that before. But that is also like now that we have to invite each other for the healing process, and we are opening up more to do so. We are reaching out in groups where we are feeling safe, and actually open up for our vulnerabilities, and saying that I need healing, I need help, if that is okay. And everybody is there for each other, and that is a beautiful development. Have you noticed?
I have,
Oh,
yeah.
completely agree with you, Eva, what you just said. And that also represents us being in our feminine, because so again, I'm going to go back to the rising of the feminine in the age of Aquarius, even though I've spoken about it so many times. Is because what is happening is that this, as we each take the power and claim that for ourselves, or the support and the community, and allow ourselves to be vulnerable. and I must absolutely thank Cody for that example, because as soon as he mentioned, we all had our own things, but we were just not talking about it. But just one person opening up to the vulnerability, to their feminine, allowing that, opened everyone else up to it. And that is the collective rising of the divine feminine. And the reason this is coming up again is 2 years ago, when we first moved into the age of Aquarius, I was seeing that a lot with everybody I was working with, friends, clients, all of that, that they were having their own. And now, again, when we had the conjunction of the Neptune-Pluto conjunction in Pisces, and then Venus moved into that entire conjunction a week later, which was last week. And now we have all this energy in Taurus, which is also ruled by Venus. So we're seeing this as Gaia's womb shifts, our wombs are shifting, and to be vulnerable, to release control, like Reshma said, all of these things are part of living in the Aquarian age of unity, of the collective, where the collectives come together. That's why we come together, have these discussions, and what it truly means, like we were like dabbling over it as we just came together to talk and present ourselves at our best. And now we're in our vulnerability. And when we speak through our true vulnerable hearts, we're being in our feminine. And that's how the feminine rises for self and for collective. And that's how we all come together in this age of Aquarius, through our hearts, and not just like, everyone just looking at their best and coming together for a discussion. So thank you for providing that space.
Said, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. You're amazing. So, yeah. Wow.
I feel it would be quick, but I'm getting guidance to share a few light language codes to assist us, just to anchor or integrate this discussion with the womb.
Please do. Yes, we need to do a clearing on the womb. Let's do it.
Connected to the heart. So what I'm sharing through the heart, through the higher self, the most benevolent outcome for all. Nothing will be taken, only serving what you truly are meant to receive. Kodadiana kodidokashe, bokotoyane kadiane helona yana. Halena kadiana kashoyono gole nagaleane kashoyanoyana. Kayanokoya. Soya moya mone bekayane kaliato kodea shane eleana hoya mone bokoshaya. Seliano koshe leono kolona kaliano kolono kodoya na kadiade hina. Saya no koya mone bakoya makaliane he no yosaya daya no koya. Oshelianta yeshanoyanaya nakala napoleon bakariane he. Kosheliante huonaya lanea. Leashane lianda kolodoya mor leande anayanaka. Poliante shaneana. Yeah, I feel it. Say anakashe ne analeane heliane. Poliashane leane pokoshaya. Like I'm trying to move some of that energy up and through. Say ane leante shaliante colone. Saliante alane. Thank you for that opportunity. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Listening to light language for me is so interesting, because I can, like I said before, or I told you before, is when you speak, I am speaking the same thing in my mind. It's like one for one word, but as soon as I like try to repeat it, like without you speaking, I can't do any of it. So it's like I can only know the language when you're actually speaking it. Once you're stopped speaking it, I don't know a thing that you're saying.
It's so interesting, because I know that we don't try to like translate it, although some people like I work with, but you're receiving the language as it is in its pure form. And then, I mean, there are times I think it assists me, and I get a message concept, and then I'll repeat in English. Now, I don't look at that as a word for word translation, but like with this is a different, and I think you're the first person to tell me about that. Yeah. That's not good. Oh, thank you. That's cool. But I felt like, I mean, it could have gone on that we were moving and opening that area and then kind of releasing upward into balance and through breath. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Isn't there anyone more who feels the energy working like crazy during this gathering? I have been this.
Around my head.
Yeah, the head, the throat. My hands are so sweaty. Yeah.
Yes.
So, is there someone who wants to bring up something more, Astara?
Well,
Just in terms of what you were saying earlier on, Maureen, just coming back to that, you were saying that sometimes you feel like you come back to the experience, you know, like let's say the womb healing for you and the journey that you've been on. I think I just wanted to highlight personally in my experience, we don't travel in a straight line, we travel in a spiral. And like you will notice, like if you look at your Facebook memories, it's uncanny how many times like today's energy was in a similar form like a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, okay? So in terms of our healing journey, bearing in mind that we're moving up into higher dimensions and everything, we return to the same point. And every time you look at it, you're seeing something deeper and you're getting a higher wisdom, if that makes sense. So again, on a major soul wound, you know, there will be a revisiting, and every time you look at it, you'll see something completely different, and you'll have like those proverbial light bulb moments. You'll be like, oh, okay, so now it makes even more sense, you know, because you've had the physical experience in the moment, and then years later, you know, at the end of the day, our subconscious, like our conscious mind is experiencing like 70,000 thoughts a day. What's happening in our subconscious mind is like 350,000, you know. So we actually, it's amazing how many times you go back to that point and you go, oh my God, is that still there? I can't believe I've still got it because I thought I dealt with it. And you're getting a little bit of a firm nudge to say, you need to look a little bit deeper. You missed something the last time, you know, the kind of way. And the other thing I wanted to mention just in terms of the work that's happening at the moment is people need to remember that we have in the 4 lower bands of energy, we have the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the physical. So for me, every illness has got a metaphysical root. And what happens is, if you really truly want to heal the physical, it's not just taking a tablet or physically removing it. You need to do extra work because you need to shift it out of all 4 bands. Otherwise, you have cellular memory kicking in, and the illness or whatever you're experiencing can actually replicate. Because even though our bodies are constantly producing new cells and everything, we are still carrying a DNA memory from our soul lineage, and we're carrying the actual illness, the kind of memory of the disease or the state of unease in each cell. And even when, so they create a new cell, that cell is going to carry the memory, and it literally makes another cell with the same condition. Okay, it's until you actually treat it with sound, explore the emotions, the feelings behind it, and do all of that extra work to physically shift it right out of your awareness, there is a chance that it will filter back down again or replicate, you know. So it's important, because so many of us in traditional medicine, it was like, okay, I've got an illness and the doctor prescribed a tablet, but there isn't, like I always say, it's find the root cause. Don't just treat the symptoms, find the root cause, because when you start understanding the emotion behind it, our bodies have got a consciousness. It's a separate consciousness to, you know, to everything else we're working with. Is you need to sit with yourself and say, what is really behind this emotion that I'm feeling? Where does it stem from? You know, and it needs to, like they talk about feeling to heal it, feel it, heal it, you know, and it's being really tender with yourself and being really honest with yourself. Like I was saying earlier on, you know, suggesting the writing and burning technique. It gives you an opportunity to truly explore your deepest, most vulnerable, most honest thoughts. But it's between you and a piece of paper, and you can see it, you can experience it. And when you burn it, you're releasing it. And it's like very symbolic of physically releasing it. I'm happy to let it go, you know. So those are just my thoughts.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say a friend just gifted me this flying wish paper, which is this perfect for that, and I haven't used it yet, and so it's very pretty. And I just want in case you write on it, and then put it in the. Oh, I think it's more of a tissue on the thinner parts, but and it's supposed to fly up like a little bird or butterfly when you burn it in the fire.
Oh, lovely.
So I thought that for
so
those
beautiful.
when doing it, kind of coincides with what you were saying, in that I guess that's not showing you too much, but yeah, it shows that they just kind of flutter up I think that you prompted me to want to do that tonight. I'll get out at the fire pit and write some things and see them fly, fly away.
It's very cathartic. It's deeply cathartic because you'll be amazed what comes up when you're that honest with yourself, you know, and when you actually, that sense of release, when you physically let it go, it's very cathartic. So do try and see how you get on.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's also right in time because here in Scandinavia we are having this holiday this weekend, and I'm not sure what they call it in English, but the principle is you are going out and you are burning, you're setting a huge bonfire and you are burning the old things and dancing in the
I'd like
new,
that.
yeah,
Nice.
dancing in the new energies. So it's right on time. I guess you
And
probably
that's-
have it in your country too somehow. No, well you have
I
to
don't think
introduce it to the States because that's how we
Yeah.
do it here.
I
Yeah.
just had a beautiful vision of that, of like a coven, 13 women or whatever, dancing around the fire, of burning all their old stuff. And that's a beautiful scene.
Yes.
And that,
Actually,
just to say that burning fire and dancing that you are talking about, ain't that connected to the Avalon energy?
I was just, after you said it, I was thinking in Ireland, we have what they call Beltana, which is the first, it's usually around the 1st of May, but sometimes astrologically it could be on up to the 7th of May.
Mhm.
And it is also like the first day of summer, but it is celebrated through the energy of fire. And they have a beautiful festival on the hill of Ushnich, which is a very ancient sacred site. And people come together and they do all sorts of ceremonies. There's people, there's some people that like kind of pockets of things going around where some have goddess circles. Some are doing singing, and then it ends with this magnificent parade, drumming and dancing, and very joyous, and this massive, massive bonfire. And a lot of people actually bring a stick and actually put it onto the fire, and as it's very symbolic, like you were saying, of because fire at the end of the day is so cleansing, it's so purifying. And it's such a physical form of release. And of course, when something is burnt away, out of the ashes, the phoenix rises. So it's really beautiful, for the new beginnings. It's really exciting to start with, wonderful new beginnings. So we, the festival this year is actually falling on the 7th of May.
Oh.
And yeah, this year.
Okay.
And it's going to be really be nice to actually, because obviously everybody was shut down for so long with the whole, that word thing. So it'll be beautiful to actually have the gathering again. It's very sacred, really beautiful.
Oh. I think
Sounds
it's
so
a
fun.
similar festival we have or gathering we have, but we are celebrating this weekend and you're on the 7th May.
Yeah.
7th. Yeah.
And I don't know, like I know traditionally in the past, and they had the maypole where they actually had the ribbon dancing,
Yeah. Sure.
that kind of thing. Very beautiful, yeah.
Oh. And I cut you off, Maureen. I didn't mean to.
Oh no, I was done. Whatever. I was just saying, yeah, I don't know what I said last, but I was just picturing those festivals in my head and going, oh, I wish we had that here. I mean, I'm just
right.
not aware of it. Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
any festival right now sounds like you were saying. It's like last night I went out to a public place and met someone at an eatery bar pie place, and it was like I hadn't done that in so very long. It was just that community. I've been in restaurants, but it was different. It was kind of a more outside situation with fire pits and things like that. And it felt, I wasn't uncomfortable, but it felt brand new to me. And I was like, something that I would have normally done for years. I've realized just how much being out with strangers, you might say, people I've never met, and that is new again. Because
For sure. Yeah, I know what you mean. There's we have something going on for Beltane. We'll be doing a water wheel on the labyrinth in the park, and it's like, wow.
Ooh, that sounds pretty.
Really?
Well, I just found out, I just read on this app that May 1st is Walpurgis or something, and I don't know if that's the thing that you're talking about of
No, I'm more like what Astora said, the maypole, you know, the dancing with the ribbons and burning fire. So that is a ancient ritual that
Mm.
is connected to the pagan thinking or the pagan way. So it's a old ritual or ceremony, and you know, as everything that is old, it has been concluded into the new ways of thinking throughout the centuries here. So, but yeah, it could be everything, just as
That's
long
weird.
as we heal and cleanse.
The dancing with the ribbon thing, if I'm getting the right image in my mind, when I was in, I think, elementary school, we did that for PE. They taught us how to do that for PE as a thing. And you wouldn't ever think of it as like a sacred ritual. You think it's just like kids doing some random thing. But it's actually kind of complicated because you get it to like, it has to cross over and it creates this like beautiful pattern all the way down the pole.
Yeah.
And we were doing that in elementary school. I was like,
Oh.
sheesh, this should be a little bit more focused on in our like in our culture, if you will, you know. And I was just surprised that after elementary school, I never saw it again.
So
Yeah.
you were
And it doesn't
introduced
seem
to
like
the
it would.
pagan.
I just want to say, well, it doesn't seem like it would be just us, obviously, that I wouldn't be surprised if it seems like community just in general, everyone going through the restrictions that they did, that they may be more open to these sort of celebrations and look at them as not so much as a silly little frivolous thing that's going on and not
Right.
take it so seriously. It's like, I don't know, for me now, I take a different look at the street fairs and festivals that might be taking place as more so anyway.
The spirituality is coming down into the ordinary life and everything.
I
So
hope so,
we're
yeah.
we're
Feels
just
like that.
observing it and letting it be. The higher energy will come through. So yeah, such an interesting topic. Is there something that you want to bring forward before we are closing down? Feels like there's something laying under here. Reshma, was it you that I cut off earlier? Sorry.
Well, yeah, I said it was this thing that I forgot. I have this app that tells me about like holidays and stuff, and so there was one that's coming May 1st. It's called Walpurgis. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's women coming together at night right before May 1st, which is the beginning of something. I forgot. It was a lot to read, but it has to do with ancient gatherings that women had. And I don't remember what country it was that celebrates it, but I feel like America is like, it's such a collective of different cultures and things. But when it comes to, like the sacred goddess work or any other kind of sacred circle work, it is not easy to find here. And it makes
It's
you
just
wonder.
not taught. It's not taught mainstream at all. Nothing.
It's told,
Well,
from anybody that, it's not good, that's crazy stuff.
Well, the beginnings of our, country, US or whatever, it was all like Christian, or not Christian, but, like those type of pilgrims that came over and kind of started Jamestown and did all that type of stuff. But our whole culture kind of was based around this like Christianity, if you will, this kind of like very strict type of, not super strict living. There's other places that are even more strict, like the Amish, they still have that type of community going. But for Christianity, any of that type of stuff is like devil worship. It's paganism. It's no. And therefore, we weren't actually allowed to have those gatherings and stuff for such a long time. They were hunted down. They were stopped. If you tried to do it secretly, some person would find out and tattled on the head priest or whatever, and they'll get a riot together. And so it's been just pushed down so much in our culture that we can't express it freely. It's changing now, but it's just it was so oppressed before.
That is true.
Thank you
I
for
noticed a
bringing that
little
up.
bit more. Oh, go ahead, Reshma. I mean, I'm here. I didn't have anything too significant. You go ahead.
No, I'm just saying thank you for bringing it up, because that makes sense why all of these ancient things have not been around for a while, and now why they're coming back together. And definitely the common man is really opening up to things like even the simpler things, right? Like yoga and all of that. Like everybody's like starting to not think it's all that woo woo anymore, you know? So I feel like as we are growing, like, you know, everybody's growing from wherever they are and being more open and accepting of it. So I think maybe that's why we're seeing more of these cultural festivals. And then of course everyone's tired of, you know, being home, and so looking at ways in which they can gather together. So it's beautiful to see that open up.
Mhm.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And yeah, I feel like we are closing down a bit here. So just want to say thank you so much for being here, all of you. And the energy has been working like crazy, at least within my energy field here, and that is a blessing. It's also very amazing to feel how the group is interacting with each other for every time we are getting together, and it's so easy to just open up and talk. And I hope that you have been enjoying to being with us, Astra, and
Thank you so much for having me. It's
yeah,
lovely. Thanks.
Oh,
we
yeah.
hope that you will join us again in the future whenever you feel like it. So, is there someone who wants to wrap it up with a final word?
Go with love.
Go with love, yeah. With
Yeah.
love. No, no wisdom, no guide.
I don't know.
No,
I'm
well,
waiting.
yeah. Well, we said it all. It's
Mhm.
we have transformed. Yeah, it's been a lot of thing that we did knew before that has been brought up again and transmuting. And I feel like the last couple of years has not been nothing but purging and purging and purging and healing and cleansing, and we are still
Mhm.
here and just shifting the focus on whatever we need to do. But what we can say is that we are been needing in our community, and we should be working together with each other when it comes to the healing part. And we have to invite and ask for help to receive it, whatever it is, if it's the spiritual guidance or if it's help from our friends. And this weekend is obviously the weekend for healing and using the fire breathing and connecting with the dragons and heal. And we had this example of you, Cody, who shared a bit that you were using it, and it come from you, Tara. And thanks for bringing it into the group so we can put it out there so people can use that kind of healing energy to help themselves. So thank you so
Thank you.
much.
I
Mhm.
just
you.
had one last thing that came up to say, that I wanted to acknowledge the fact that the reason the dragons came up in this session, even though that wasn't necessarily one of the main topics, is because I wanted to acknowledge that the thing about the hybrids, right? And that's a whole different topic, but we are here to coexist not just with other humans as we come together in a collective, but all other beings. And as we rise dimensions, we know that these beings, the unicorns, the dragons, the fairies, the elves, the elementals, used to be very much in this plane until they decided to kind of, until they realized how, the harshness of humans, and they decided to be in other planes. And as we raise our energies, we're able to work in that is the coming together is not just the coming together of humans, but of all elementals, of how we work in tandem with other energies on our planet, other beings on other planets, and that is why the discussion comes up more and more about the hybrids, and there is so much to it, and there's so much in the unknown that we're going towards. And as we go towards the unknown, what choice do we have other than releasing control? And the way we release control, there's so many ways in which we can release control, but the dragons came here to assist us with their fire, to give us a technique to do that we can use through this weekend, to clear our energies so we can move on into this unknown with grace and without fear and without anxiety. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for
Oh,
summing it
thank
up.
you. Hmm.
Thank
You
you.
both did so well with that. Yeah.
So,
Mm.
so we are going to let that be the final closure for today. Thank you, Mehernaz, for summing it up for us. And once again, thank you so much for being here. And to you who are watching this in this now or later on, please put your questions in the comment field and we will get back to you and try to answer it as good as we can. So, thank you for being here, and for those of you here on the panel disc, if you want to stay put after we are closing down, we can have a small chat before we say goodbye for real. So, to you who are listening, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
So,